Hiring a team was supposed to free up your time, enable you to make more money and make your business better. But for most business owners, the opposite happens. As you hire a team, you as an owner actually get busier because you spend all your time managing. Standards drop because you're not delivering and your team aren't delivering to your standard. And all of that means that you can't work on the business, so you're making less money, spending more money on salaries, and you're generally more stressed. The solution to this is making sure that you have clear standards in your business and that your team can deliver that without you having to constantly manage them. And what I'm going to take you through in today's video is how to do that with a one-page performance plan. So we've helped put this in place into numerous businesses across numerous industries, and it always works. So what I want to take you through today is the basics of it so that you can get it into place in your business. Now, if you are feeling stressed and a little bit frustrated, you're probably in what we call the slog zone, right? And this is very normal for small business owners who started off being the deliverers of the service or of the product. So if you started your business as a one-person band or being very heavily involved in the service and then you've tried to scale it beyond you, it's very normal that you come to this zone here that we call the slog zone. So just to give you a bit of orientation, the startup phase, you're all excited because the business is new and you're creating your new thing, you're creating your own reality. Then you move into what we call the stability phase, and this is where you've got a bit of a name for yourself, you've got regular customers coming in, you build a team because you can't handle all the work yourself, and it's exciting. You're building a team, people are paying you money, you're winning, it's fun. Now, the slog zone is when you having the team and you trying to grow the business actually starts to work against you, right? So you're not able to get the team to perform on autopilot, so you start being a manager instead of a business owner. You're spending more money on salaries, but because your team don't perform at the level you need them to, that's not necessarily turning into profits. So you're actually probably losing money, and generally you're doing more work that you don't enjoy. So everything just starts to feel like an uphill battle. Add to that, you probably can't take much holiday and you don't feel like you can come away from the business without switching off, and you really do feel like you're in the slog zone. Now, the solution to this isn't stepping backwards, which is what many business owners think they should do. This might be attractive, just stripping it back and going back to when it was tiny. But the problem is you're still going to be stuck in the business. There's a reason that you hired a team, right? So you don't want to step backwards, but you don't want to stay in the slog either. So what we've got to do is move towards systems and structure. Systems and structure that get your team delivering to the standard you're proud of without you having to manage. And we're going to go through one of those key systems in this video. Now, what I want you to think about here is you can either give your team a clear destination. Now, if you give your team a clear destination, a postcode, they can stick that postcode into the sat nav and they can navigate themselves towards the goal. But if you don't do that, if you don't paint a clear picture of the destination, then they don't know what good looks like, they don't know what they're heading towards, so you end up being the map reader, right? You are the navigator. This is your employee over here you've hired to make your life easier, and this is you who's having to stay with that employee all the time, give them step-by-step instructions to make sure that they're on the right track, which means that you can't work on the business. So if you haven't painted a clear picture of what good looks like and you haven't put systems in place that define what good looks like, you have accidentally turned yourself into the navigator and the map reader. We don't want that, right? So this today is our version of starting to give our team postcodes, destinations, so that they can actually navigate themselves, which means that us as business owners can actually coach staff as opposed to having to manage them, which is draining. So what we need to make this happen is a performance map, right? And what I mean by performance map is a one page that tells your team who are delivering a service or product what good looks like. So this is an example from when I, in my first business, when I used to own the gym, but I'm going to give you a couple of examples from other businesses as well. So this is a PA business, a business that provides personal assistant support, executive assistant, and this is a cleaning business. So you can see that it works across the three. So what we've got to do is get what's in your head, right, which is a clear vision of what great looks like, onto something simple and measurable that people can understand. If we don't do this, if we don't create this, the reality is you are this person. Even if you've said it out loud and you've told people what your standards are and you tell people how you like to do it, by not creating this, this is the postcode, this is the destination. So by not having this in place, you are designating yourself to be this person. And this is not a person that can work on a business or be a leader. Another thing to think about is that when you're in this phase here, your team probably delivered to the standard you were proud of because you were very hands-on and the team was small and you were close to everybody. So they were doing what you were doing because they were around you every day. But as we get to here, you've been in the business a few more years, you don't want to be involved in every job, you want to be able to get away from the delivery without the standards dropping. So again, we need to take what's in your head and turn it into a postcode or a destination. So what you want to do first of all is you want to break it down into 4 sections. So what's the 4 things that you need your people to excel in? And to do this, what you want to do is think about what you're proud of. Like when you went to your customers, when you used to deliver and the standards were really high, what's the things about the way that you delivered that made you feel proud and that made customers choose you? So for me, with my very first business, which was a gym, I was very aware that there were 4 things that made our sessions amazing. The first one was we looked good. So my team looked professional. We wore a uniform. There was many other gyms around that didn't do that, didn't take pride in their appearance. And we created a really cool, exciting, fun atmosphere. Another thing that I was really proud of that I know our members liked was we had a really solid briefing. So when we did the workshop, when we did a fitness session, we did a very good job at the start of that session of spending 5 minutes at the whiteboard, explaining to all the different levels of ability that we had, why this session was good and how it was going to help them at their level of fitness. Now this really helped us as a business because we had athletes level of fitness and we had new joiners level of fitness. And because we were really good at making the sessions appropriate to both of those groups and explaining the why, we didn't have an issue where some people were saying, oh, this is boring, and some people were saying this is too hard. We made it appropriate to both. So this is a really important thing that I wanted. The session, I had a really structured way that I wanted the session to be delivered, and then obviously the quality of coaching as well. So I knew that if my coaches had a good overall attitude, they could brief the session well, they could follow a process for the session, and they had good coaching skills, then the session was going to be delivered in a way that I was proud of and that my customers would like. And then we can break down into each of those, we can break into more specifics. But let's have a look down here before we do that. So again, we've got the 4 sections for a PA business, right? So we've got 4 sections again. And we've got client relationships. So the PAs in this business need to be able to create great relationships with the clients. They need to be able to get the clients' results. They need to be organized. And again, this business has got the basics, right? And then we go down into a cleaning business, right? So this is for the people that delivered the cleaning services in this business. And we've got 4 sections again. We've got their technical skills, so how good are they, how qualified are they to do the different levels of cleaning that this business provides or services that this business provides. Obviously, the techs in this business sell, so they need to have sales skills. They need to have good people skills, and then this is probably the basics, but they need to have a good attitude and look smart. So we've got 4 sections. Now, within each section, what we want to do is make it measurable. And we want to give subsections. So if I zoom into here, overall, when we say appearance, what do we actually mean? Well, for my first business, I meant I wanted them to look smart. I wanted them to have a good attitude. I wanted them to use appropriate language, so I don't want swearing in my lessons and things like that. I want them to start and finish the lesson on time, and I want them to create a good atmosphere, right? So this is what good looks like to a coach in my original business. You turn up and you look professional. You've got a good attitude with the customers. You speak with appropriate language. You don't swear in the sessions. You make people feel comfortable. You always start and finish the lesson on time, and you create a good atmosphere. And I can score each one of my coaches on one of their sessions from 0 in the middle here to 5 out here, right? So we could go, right, they created a good atmosphere. The overall session was good. Attitude was great. Language, there was a bit of swearing, it felt a bit inappropriate, and we finished a bit late and we started a bit late, so we can join it up. And then we can see, okay, well, to be a perfect performer in our world, you want to work on getting your timings right, and you want to just reduce that swearing. Your attitude was great, we love that, but these are the things I want you to improve. And we can score this, and then we can actually score at the bottom, so we're making it measurable. Right, so we can have overall scores and track this over time. So I'll go into another business down here. So client results. So making sure your clients feel organized and sane, right? This is an EA business. So let's say that there are 3 on there. Make your clients live your lives undeniably better. Yeah, your clients love you, so they're at 5. Get regular raving feedback. You haven't got any feedback, or you've only got 2 pieces, so we're going to score you a bit lower there. And save your clients time. Yes, you are doing that, but you're not quantifying the results. So we're going to give you a 3 out of 5 there. So again, we can see over time, this is what good looks like. This is how you're scoring. This is what the areas that I want you to improve on. And this, by the way, creates excitement and clarity for your team, because your team want to do a good job. Human beings are hardwired to want to make progress and to move towards goals. If you don't have this kind of stuff in place, people don't really know if they're doing a good job or not. They're just relying on your feedback. And what this means for you as a business owner and for your team is a negative experience, because if this is the relationship we've got, you're going to be cranky because you don't want to be doing this. They don't feel empowered because they don't know where they're going. They're just waiting for instructions from you. You're impatient because you don't want to be doing this. So it's a negative relationship. You're managing a person as opposed to giving them, being a leader, which is giving them a destination and then empowering them to get after the destination. The other thing to consider with this down here is it naturally pushes you into micromanagement, because you're here and you're trying to give them instructions all the time, and then when something goes wrong, you're going to be all over them. Whereas if they've got their own direction and we've got scores and we've got a cadence, we can actually become a coach. We can say, right, this is the destination I want you to get to. You're currently here. What do I need to give you to get up to this standard? It's a completely different relationship. It's much more positive, and it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience in the workplace. So we want to have 4 sections. We want to have measurable sections within each one. And then all we need to do is ensure that you or your management team have a cadence with this, with our staff, where we check in with them, and we do it monthly, quarterly, depending on the level of experience and performance of the staff member. So when you get these kind of basic systems in place, it drastically changes the culture and experience of your business for your employees, and it drastically changes the culture and experience of your business for you. Instead of you being a manager and you having to watch people and you having this underlying sense that things aren't good and you need to keep an eye on it, you become a leader. You've set a very clear destination, and your job is, and your management team's job is to keep people excited about that destination and provide them with coaching opportunities and coaching support if they're not getting up to that standard. So it goes from being, you're not doing it good enough, fix this, fix that, fix this, to this is what great looks like, you're on the way, but you need to improve these 2 things. What can we do to help you? You're going to have much more sanity for you. Your management team are going to enjoy managing more because they get to actually lead, and your team are going to actually enjoy working in your business. Your team are going to be proud of and excited by delivering an excellent experience, and that's going to give better results to your customers because they're going to get more consistency, all of which leads to scalability, more money, more profit. So very quick recap. You need to, if you're in the slog zone, which is very normal, you need to define what good looks like. We need to get the postcode right, which is the 1-page performance map. Okay, this is the first piece for that in your business. Once we've got that in place, well, what we want to do to get that in place is get our 4 categories and then get our measurables within each one of those categories. Then finally, we want to make sure that there's a cadence in place where we check in with our team on this scorecard and give them scores. If that sounds scary and complicated to you, it doesn't need to be. So this performance map is already alive. It's just in your head and you haven't been able to get it out and simplify it yet. So what we've done is create a few AI prompts that feed into our template that mean that all you have to do is share some talking thoughts with Claude or with ChatGPT to end up with your first draft of this, which will be 7 out of 10 good enough, which you can then iterate. If you would like those prompts and the template so that you can get this in your business nice and quickly to a high standard, head over to my Instagram. The link is in the video notes, and just DM me map and I'll send you the prompts and template for free.